Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today is an absolutely beautiful day, but the storm currently brewing in Fairmont Crest is darker and more destructive than anything we have seen in a long time. Grab a drink, get comfortable, and settle in, because what we have to unpack today is completely mind-blowing. The secrets, the lies, the sheer hypocrisy, it is all unraveling right before our eyes in real time. Let's get right into it. I want to start by painting a vivid picture of a scene that just completely shattered everything we thought we knew about where this marriage is heading. Picture this. Dani is sitting there in her home, finally having a quiet, solitary moment, just casually sipping a cup of tea. It is one of those rare, peaceful instances in her chaotic life where she actually gets to breathe. Then the silence is broken. Her phone buzzes with a new message. Naturally, she is curious and opens it, probably expecting something mundane from Pamela or an update about the kids. But what plays out on that screen is a 1-minute video clip that is guaranteed to detonate her entire world. It is her husband, Andre, and a young, stunningly beautiful woman. We all know her as Heather Armstrong, the Impaler, the international crime boss who has been relentlessly stalking him. But in this specific video, she does not look like a terrifying mob boss. She looks like an intimate lover. I can't help but feel like the timing of this text was meticulously calculated to inflict the maximum amount of psychological damage. Who sent it? Was it Heather herself or one of her shadowy operatives monitoring the situation? The audio in this video is what really gets under your skin and makes the hairs on your arms stand up. You can clearly hear Andre speaking, and his voice is trembling with this undeniable, nervous, almost electric energy. He looks at her and says, "Good to see you again." Guys, that is not the tone of a man facing his vicious tormentor. That is the tone of a man facing a ghost from his past that he never quite managed to get over. And Heather, she does not miss a single beat. She replies with this incredibly sultry, confident, knowing purr, "Now you can thank me in person." What on earth is he thanking her for? I keep coming back to this idea that Heather holds the ultimate keys to Andre's darkest, most buried secrets from his time in Europe. Is he thanking her for keeping quiet all this time? For protecting him from something even worse that we don't even know about yet? Something about this doesn't sit right with me. The power dynamic in that single loaded exchange is absolutely suffocating. As the video plays on, it is only a minute long, but for Dani, it must feel like an agonizing eternity. She is watching this unfold, completely paralyzed by shock. She snaps out of it and frantically tries to call Andre, dialing his number over and over again in a blind panic, but the situation on his end obviously does not allow him to pick up the phone. Because while Dani is hyperventilating in her living room, Heather is making her move in that hotel room. She actively initiates a highly physical, deeply intimate encounter. She pulls Andre close to her, her hands roaming over his chest, caressing him, whispering these soft, provocative, deeply seductive things right into his ear. She is playing him like a grand piano. And here is the part that makes my stomach drop into my shoes. Andre does not pull away immediately. In a moment of pure, unadulterated weakness, he leans into it. He cooperates. He lets himself be swept up in the intoxicating familiarity of whatever passionate history they used to share. For a few agonizing seconds, he is completely under her spell, and Dani is forced to watch every single frame of his surrender. I might be wrong, but I truly believe that in those few fleeting seconds, Andre completely forgot about his life in Fairmont Crest. He forgot about his responsibilities, he forgot about the danger, and most importantly, he forgot about Dani. But then, just as things are about to reach a boiling point, just as they are on the absolute edge of no return, Andre suddenly snaps out of his trance. It is like a bucket of freezing ice water hits him squarely in the chest. He physically shoves Heather away from him. He thrusts his hand up, shoving his golden wedding band right into her face, and firmly declares that they are strictly ex-lovers and that he is a married man. He draws the hard line. Heather, playing her part to absolute perfection, feigns this desperate, dramatic attempt to pull him back by the arm, but Andre is finally resolute. He turns his back on her and walks straight out of that hotel room without looking back. Now, you would logically think Heather would be furious, right? A powerful woman rejected, an international crime boss denied exactly what she wants, but she does not chase him down the hall. She does not yell or throw things. Instead, she just stands there in the middle of the room and smiles. And guys, it is the most chilling, victorious, predatory smile I have ever witnessed on this show. Why is she smiling when she just got rejected? Because she got exactly what she truly wanted all along. It seems that the physical seduction was never the actual end game for her. The video itself was the end game. She wanted to capture that exact moment of hesitation, that fleeting second where Andre surrendered to her touch, and she wanted his wife to see it. What if she had a hidden camera set up the entire time, perfectly angled to catch his face? What if she live streamed that one specific minute straight to Dani's phone? It is psychological warfare executed at its absolute finest, and Heather is a masterclass in manipulation. Meanwhile, back at the house, Dani is a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. She is pacing the floors. She is seething with rage. She is probably rewatching that agonizing 1-minute clip over and over again until the image of Andre in Heather's arms is permanently burned into her retinas. When Andre finally walks through the front door, expecting what? A normal evening? A quiet dinner? Dani unleashes an absolute hurricane of fury. She practically corners him the second he steps inside, furiously demanding to know if he is the man in the video and aggressively interrogating him about the true nature of his relationship with this mysterious young woman. The confrontation is explosive. You can practically feel the walls of their house shaking from the sheer volume and intensity of their screaming match. Andre immediately goes on the defensive, which is the classic reaction of a cornered man. He tries desperately to downplay the entire encounter. He swears up and down that absolutely nothing crossed the line, that he stopped it before it went too far, and that whatever history he has with Heather is entirely in the past and means nothing to him now. He insists that he has absolutely nothing to do with her anymore and that he chose his marriage. But there's a chance that Andre is severely underestimating the catastrophic emotional damage here. He thinks because he didn't actually sleep with her, he is innocent and in the clear. But Dani saw the hesitation. She saw him melt into Heather's touch, even if it was just for a fraction of a moment. And honestly, if you ask me, for a spouse, seeing the emotional and physical surrender is sometimes way worse than the actual physical act itself. It shows a vulnerability that belongs to someone else. The argument quickly devolves into this vicious, ugly, mudslinging contest. They are both hurling harsh insults, tearing each other down in a way that only two people who know exactly where the deepest soft spots are can do. And then Andre plays his absolute trump card. He throws Bill Hamilton right back into Dani's face. He points out the glaring hypocrisy, reminding her that they both have incredibly complicated pasts and that Dani is constantly, endlessly entangled with her ex-husband. He essentially says, "How dare you judge my past when your ex is constantly hovering around our present, demanding your attention?" It is a low blow, sure, but is he entirely wrong? He has been watching Dani run to Bill's side for weeks, and now she is crucifying him for a 1 minute encounter that he ultimately walked away from. Dani's reaction to this accusation is incredibly telling about her current mental state. Instead of taking a step back and acknowledging his point, she doubles down with fierce indignation. She aggressively defends her ongoing connection to Bill, using the most convenient, unassailable excuse in the book: the children. She argues passionately that her situation is completely different from his because Bill's failing health directly impacts their kids, and she is just trying to be a supportive co-parent during a medical crisis. But maybe I'm overthinking this, but I can't help but feel like Dani's extreme unhinged outrage is actually masking a massive mountain of her own suffocating guilt. We all know what happened in that elevator during the tornado. We know she hooked up with Bill. She crossed the ultimate line, the very line she is currently screaming at Andre for getting too close to. I keep coming back to this idea that Dani is entirely projecting her own infidelity onto her husband. She is screaming at him for almost crossing a line with Heather while she is secretly harboring the devastating reality that she actually did cross it with Bill. It is the peak of hypocrisy. She is terrified that Andre's past is going to ruin their family, but she is completely blind to the fact that her own inability to let go of Bill is already doing the exact same thing. And Andre, who is currently completely oblivious to the secret elevator hookup, is just looking at his wife like she has completely lost her mind. He sees her glaring double standards. He sees the utter lack of empathy for the stalking nightmare he has been living, and he calls her out on it. He flat out calls her selfish. He accuses her of making everything about her own fragile feelings while completely disregarding the immense pressure, the fear, and the terrifying campaign of intimidation he has been enduring alone. The tension in the room reaches a breaking point where the air is just too toxic to breathe. Andre realizes he is not going to win this fight. There is no logic that can pierce through Dani's wall of jealous rage and hidden guilt. He is exhausted. He is stressed beyond belief. And his wife is looking at him like he is a monster, completely ignoring her own glaring flaws. So he does the only thing he feels he can do in that suffocating moment. He turns his back on her, storms out of the house in a blind rage, and leaves her standing there alone in the smoldering wreckage of their argument. The truth might be more complicated than it looks, but right now their marriage is hanging by a thread thinner than dental floss, and both of them are holding a pair of scissors. We leave Andre sitting completely alone in a dimly lit, quiet bar, nursing a drink, looking utterly defeated and broken. He is isolated, he is angry, and he is dangerously vulnerable. He is sitting there staring at the amber liquid in his glass, probably replaying the events of the day on a continuous loop in his mind. The lingering smell of Heather's perfume, the softness of her voice, the terrifying realization that he might still feel a spark for her, all mixed with the absolute fury of his wife's relentless accusations. This bar is a very dangerous place for a man teetering on the edge. Will Heather track him down to the bar? She clearly has eyes everywhere and knows exactly how to play him. Or maybe in a moment of drunken spite, he will actually reach out to her himself. If you ask me, Heather's master plan is working flawlessly, better than she could have ever hoped. She didn't need to actually seduce him in that hotel room. She just needed to plant the toxic seed of destruction right in the center of his marriage. She let Dani do all the heavy lifting of pushing Andre away. It is brilliant, really. Heather is dismantling Andre's life brick by brick without even breaking a sweat, using his own wife as the wrecking ball. And Dani is playing right into her hands perfectly. By reacting with such unhinged jealousy and refusing to acknowledge her own shady behavior, Dani has effectively driven her husband straight out the door and potentially right back into the arms of the enemy. The ultimate question now is, what happens when Andre finally discovers the undeniable truth about Dani and Bill's passionate elevator rendezvous? Because if he is this deeply angry about being falsely accused and judged for a near miss, imagine the catastrophic level of his wrath when he finds out his self righteous, screaming wife is actually a cheater who has been lying to his face for weeks. I am telling you guys, the fallout from this single 1 minute video is going to reshape the entire landscape of this show. We are looking at the potential fiery end of Dani and Andre, the unstoppable rise of Heather's influence over him, and a massive, unavoidable collision course with Bill Hamilton's storyline. I cannot wait to see how this plays out, but something tells me things are going to get a whole lot darker before they even have a chance to get better. What do you guys think? Is Andre entirely to blame for leaning in, or is Dani being completely unreasonable given her own massive secrets? Let me know your theories in the comments because my mind is spinning with the possibilities.